Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever you are. This is Peter from Geek with my, I'm probably going to say as early as I could have done it, review of Episode 3 of Supernatural Season 10. Here be spoilers, as they say in Captain Ahab's time. Well, to start with, let's just be clear about one thing. I love this show. I absolutely love Supernatural. One of my favorite TV shows of all time. Which is why I am so frustrated with this episode. I mean, really, I am. I haven't been this irritated since they revealed that Reapers were a kind of angel last season, because that is a continuity anyway. But let's explain why. So, spoiler-free review, it's a good episode, worth watching. I had fun. There's nothing wrong with the episode as is. Everything about it works. Hell, even the angel story made sense. But it's really frustrating as an episode. And I'll get to that at the end. But first, let's go through it with the good. So I'm not going to summarize the episode this time. I'm just going to tell you what I liked and what I didn't. First thing I liked, interactions between the brothers. Particularly what Dean was doing. So Jensen Ackles, the actor, he knocked it out of the park today. With this episode, he was amazing. Every note was pitch perfect. Still feeling enough like Dean to be Dean, but being different enough to be the demon. More of the same that we had last week, and it was glorious. Absolutely fantastic work. There's a point where he's walking around, threatening Sam, and it's just perfect. There's a claustrophobic atmosphere, there's tension, there's worry, and you don't know how Sam's going to get out of it. And considering this is Supernatural, you kind of believe it could go either way. So overall, very good. Sam's performance as well, very enjoyable. Very, very strong performance there. The Crowley story was alright. I mean, it was nothing special, but there was nothing bad about it. It was enjoyable enough in its own right. It shows that Crowley's kind of dealing with some issues in hell, which seems to have very much settled down under his rule. Plus, we get to see Crowley actually kill a demon, and it's really impressive how he does it. He just, unimposing, snap of his fingers, which is kind of Crowley's MO, really. Keep things simple and to the point. So that's nice. So no complaints with Crowley's story. Castiel's story, it worked. There's clearly a thing going on between him and Hannah. Like, there's a thing there. We don't know what, but there's something. And for the first time, though, the angel story felt relevant. Because, again, we're in spoiler territory here. Crowley saves Castiel's life. So Castiel is back up to strength, or at least as strong as a damaged angel gets. I'm really hoping they get the wind back at some point. It'd be nice when he can teleport again, but he's back to strength. But the most important thing is to see how Castiel is thinking right now, which is, I'm expendable, so I'm going to do the good I can whilst I can. He doesn't see himself as all that important anymore, which is a very good thing for his character. And I'm interested to see where it goes, though, because, as Crowley says, Castiel now owes him. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Final thing that was good, teaser at the end. Well, it was just enough of a hint to say that there is a plan for this season, thankfully. Because this is where we get to the bad. At the end of this episode, I have no idea where they're going to go. None. A lot of people, they're fans of the standalone season 1 and 2. You know, where there's no overarching plot, and episodes happen piecemeal. And that's fine if that's your thing. Me, I prefer it where there's a story threading through the year. That's why seasons 4 and 5 are my favorite seasons. And why I actually really quite enjoyed the latter half of season 8 and the whole of season 9. So I'm a fan of the big story. And admittedly, it's hard to top the apocalypse, but I'm interested to see where they go because they clearly have a plan, which you wouldn't have thought without that teaser, because this episode is a story of wasted potential. On their own, the elements work. The acting is good, the story was tense, the plot moved along nice and quickly with personal moments between the brothers. You get to see some of Sam's dark side and what he had to do to get Dean back. All the sorts of things we'd expect, and all fairly enjoyable to watch. The stuff with Castiel and Crowley advanced their plots, gave them something to do, potentially. But that's it. Where do we go from here? The episode ends with Dean cured from being a demon. And yes, he still has the mark of Cain, and yes, they will address that later, one hopes. But where do they go from here? At least in the short term. I was really enjoying Demon Dean. I was hoping they could have stretched that out maybe to the mid-season finale, but they've used it up. They did it well, but I wish there was more. I wish the writers had taken advantage of this opportunity to really shake things up, rather than just returning to the status quo, which is something they've tended to do since the end of Season 5. Seasons 3, 4, and 5. Status quo, as if. Always moving forward, always changing, characters changing. It was very strong. Since then, we just keep returning to the status quo. And that's what's frustrating, because what could have been amazing is instead merely 2 or 3 very good episodes. So that's my review. Every element works on its own, but overall and together, wasted potential. Which makes this very frustrating because I want to give this episode a high score, but it hasn't earned that in context of the series. So I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. Perfectly watchable, enjoyable enough, but lacking anything to really boost it up. You won't regret seeing it, but you may come away with a sour taste in your mouth saying, I wish they'd done more. Well, thank you for listening. Any comments, queries, thoughts, or so on, don't hesitate to leave them below. And have a lovely day. This is Peter saying, Geek out.